Is your greatest fear making a single mistake that everyone in the world will eventually see? You spend entire weeks polishing one tiny detail while the rest of the busy world just moves on. This is the deadly, silent trap of perfectionism, a cold cage built entirely from your own impossible standards. Meet Alex. He's a brilliant architect who hasn't actually built a single real building in 5 long years. He believes that by waiting for the perfect design, he can somehow avoid any possibility of painful criticism. But beneath that neat iron shirt, Alex is broke, exhausted, and feeling deeply unfulfilled in his soul. Why do we do this to ourselves? Why settle for a life that is perfect but totally empty? The truth is quite simple. Perfectionism is often just a very sophisticated and clever form of procrastination. It's a way to stay busy and feel important while avoiding the truly scary part of finished work. If my design never reaches the finish line, it can't be judged as imperfect, so it stays a shield. Maybe you grew up believing that your only worth in this world was in being absolutely flawless. You were the child who learned that a single B grade meant they were fundamentally unlovable. So you became an expert at avoiding failure, which unfortunately means avoiding taking any real, meaningful risks. But you must remember that a life without any mistakes is a life that is completely without growth. You attract appreciation from afar but never actual clients, people who like your work but never pay. And when they eventually find someone who is simply good enough and walks away, you're left hollow. The perfectionism cycle is a cruel trap where the hero always ends up as their own prisoner. You spend your life waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect set of tools, and the perfect mood. But here is the real secret. The perfect moment is just a ghost that you can never catch. Perfectionism makes you broke because you are always spending your energy, but you are never actually launching. He doesn't realize that by holding the work so tightly, he's preventing other people from ever using it. When you only release perfect work, you rob others of the precious chance to help you improve. You make your art distant and cold, and in doing so, you become a prisoner of your pride. Your identity becomes so tied to being the best that you fear the simple reality of being good. Who am I if I'm not flawlessly successful, you ask yourself while staring at the dark ceiling at 4 a.m. The answer is terrifying because just good feels average, replaceable, and somehow deeply, painfully unlovable. But that version of you, the one with the errors and the rough drafts, is the one that truly needs help. The perfectionist needs to be saved from the constant heavy exhaustion of maintaining their own false image. Look closely at the work you've tried to perfect. Did they ask for it, or did you volunteer? Often we invade our own precious time with perfectionism just to feel a sense of control we lack. It's a power dynamic against ourselves, disguised as quality, a way to keep the unpredictable world quiet. But success isn't a puzzle to be solved perfectly, it's an experience to be launched, even if it's messy. Alex finally stops. He looks at his endless blueprints and realizes they are not a prison anymore. The moment he lets go of the need to be flawless, the entire world finally begins to breathe. Setting a hard deadline isn't an act of cruelty, it's an act of profound self-respect for your life. You cannot pay your monthly bills with unfinished masterpieces, no matter how great they might eventually be. It's time to take all that polishing energy and turn it inward, directly toward your own deep fear. Imagine what would happen if you treated your limited time with the same respect you give your work. Imagine launching your first good enough project purely for your own comfort, without feeling any heavy guilt. Alex starts to repair the cracks in his own creative portfolio instead of refining just one drawing. He learns that he is allowed to be in progress and still be completely worthy of a client. The road to financial and emotional recovery always starts with launching, the brave act of saying, "It's done." Let the work be flawed and raw. Let it be human. Let it be seen by the world. Your job is to be a creator, not a perfect mechanic, a launcher, not a silent museum curator. The more you launch flawed work, the less you feel the desperate need to control every single outcome. Authentic success happens between two creators who are both in progress, not between a messiah and a client. Alex finally launches his project, and for the first time he feels light enough to actually build. He realizes that he was never a perfect genius, he was just a man hiding behind his standards. And that is perfectly okay. Being functional is enough. You don't need a masterpiece to be valuable. We are all beautiful works in progress, navigating a complex world that rarely makes any total sense. Leo's Notes is about finding the internal courage to launch the version that still needs a little work. I'm just a guy who used to polish a lot of things that weren't mine to hold. I learned that the most important thing to fix is the destructive habit of never showing up. The journey from being flawless to being finished is the hardest one you will ever have to take. But on the other side is a peace that no perfect score could ever hope to provide. Next time you feel that urge to save the day with one last edit, just stop and pause. Ask yourself, am I helping the work, or am I just running away from my own silence? Stay functional to your mind, but keep your own hands on your own heavy steering wheel. You are a creator, not a solution. You are absolutely enough just as you are right now. This was Leo's Notes. I'll see you in the next one. Stay curious.